Revenge trading is one of the most destructive habits in the trading world, and yet almost every trader has done it. You can have the best strategy, the cleanest charts, the most organized journal, and still find yourself taking trades you know aren't part of the plan, simply because you lost one before it. Every trader has felt that moment, that shift, that click inside your head when you take a loss, and suddenly it's like a different version of you sits down in the chair. A version of you who's impatient, emotional, and weirdly confident in the worst possible way. The calm, logical trader you were 2 minutes ago just disappears. And a new one takes over. The I'm getting my money back right now trader. Today, we're going deep into the psychology behind that shift. Why it happens, how to recognize it, and most importantly, how to stop it before it destroys the progress you've worked so hard to build. But before we dive into the emotional science, I want to paint a few real-life scenarios, ones you've probably lived through, because revenge trading doesn't come from nowhere. It always starts with a moment, a trigger, a spark. Let's start with something simple. Imagine you waited all morning for your setup. You were patient, you stayed disciplined. You watched the candles form exactly the way you wanted. You pressed the buy button because everything lined up beautifully. And then the moment you enter, the market does the most disrespectful thing possible. It pulls back just enough to hit your stop loss and then goes exactly where you expected. That moment right there is the spark. It's not the loss itself that hurts. It's the feeling behind it. The feeling that you were right, but somehow still lost. The feeling that you did everything correctly and still got punished. The feeling that the market disrespected you, that you don't just feel wrong, you feel wronged. There's a big difference between those two feelings. When you feel wrong, you review your analysis, fix your mistake, and move on. But when you feel wronged, something else kicks in. Something deeper, something more emotional. That's when revenge trading starts. You tell yourself you're just taking one more trade. You tell yourself you're fixing the loss. You tell yourself you're getting back what should have been yours. But none of that is true. You're not trading to win. You're trading to fix a feeling. Let me give you a real example, one from a trader named Chris. Chris had been studying for weeks. He finally felt confident. One day, he catches a perfect setup on US 30. Nice clean break, pullback, entry, beautiful. He places his stop loss exactly where he practiced. He risks small. He's doing everything right. But the wick on US 30 doesn't care about your discipline. It doesn't care how long you studied. It doesn't care how ready you feel. One insane wick pushes down, taps his stop by literally 1 point, and then flies 200 points in profit. Chris stares at his screen, first in shock, then in disbelief, then in anger. He enters again, this time with double the lot size. No setup, no confirmation, just emotion. He loses again, now he's furious. He hits buy again, bigger lot. Loses again, hits sell, loses again. Hits buy, loses again. By the time he stops, he's blown half of his account, all within 15 minutes. And afterward, he said the same sentence almost every trader on earth has said, I don't even remember what I was thinking. I just kept clicking. This is revenge trading in its purest form. Not logical, not rational, not planned. It's emotional gambling fueled by anger, fear, and ego. Let me hit you with another story. This one is something you've probably lived through personally. You wake up early, ready to trade. You sip your coffee, analyze the chart, wait patiently. But then you get distracted, maybe by a message, maybe by something in the house. And by the time you look back, the market has already made the move you were waiting for. The setup you wanted? Gone. Perfect entry? Gone. Clean breakout? Gone. You're sitting there staring at the chart like, bro, I literally missed the entire move by 3 minutes. And then you feel it, that little spark, that irritation, that voice in your head saying, you better catch something. You didn't wake up early just to miss the move. So you take a trade, not because it's good, not because it fits your plan, but because you feel like you deserve something, and then you lose. Now you're angry for missing the move and losing money. So what do? You take another trade. That one loses too. Now you're in what traders call the fuck it zone. The danger zone, the emotional zone where logic is gone and anything can happen. So you keep going. And before you know it, a perfectly normal morning turns into a mini disaster. That entire downward spiral started with one emotion, regret. Regret turns into frustration. Frustration turns into impulsiveness. Impulsiveness turns into revenge trading. Revenge trading never begins with logic. It begins with emotion. Let's talk about another real trigger when you close a winning trade too early. Now, picture this. You're in a trade. It's going well. It's moving cleanly. You enter profit. You feel good. But then you see a tiny pullback. Tiny. And suddenly your heart rate goes up. You start thinking, oh no, what if it reverses? What if I lose the profit? Let me just secure it. So you hit close. You take your tiny win. And then, almost instantly, the market explodes in your direction. Not slowly, not calmly, explodes. Your take profit would have been hit easily. You would have made triple, maybe 10 times what you made. And now you're sitting there like, wow, I just ruined that trade for no reason. What happens next? You re-enter. But now you're entering from a worse price. You're chasing, you're emotional. And that re-entry loses. Now you're mad. You feel stupid. You feel like you robbed yourself. Boom. Revenge spiral starts again. Let me tell you about another trader. Her name was Alicia. She spent weeks building discipline. She journaled her trades. She backtested her strategy. She finally got consistent. One day, she enters a setup that checks every box. But while she's in the trade, her mom calls, distracts her. She closes the trade early just out of nervousness. Not because the setup changed, not because price invalidated, just because she was emotionally pulled out of the moment. 2 minutes later, the trade runs beautifully, hits exactly where her take profit was. She stares at the screen in disbelief. She feels like she ruined the trade. She feels cheated by her own hesitation, so she jumps back in, angry, frustrated, trying to fix the mistake. That's the thing about revenge trading. It doesn't always come from losing. Sometimes it comes from winning incorrectly. Another real-life trigger that when you break your own rules. Example, you tell yourself you won't trade during news. You tell yourself you won't trade during low-volume time. You tell yourself you won't over-leverage, but then you do it anyway. And if that trade loses, which it normally does, you feel stupid. You feel like you betrayed yourself. And instead of stopping, you say, nah, let me fix that real quick. That one sentence has destroyed more accounts than any market condition ever has. Let's talk about the emotional psychology behind it. When you take a loss, especially one you didn't expect, the primal part of your brain lights up. The amygdala, the part responsible for emotional reactions, becomes highly active. You go into fight or flight mode. You're not analyzing anymore. You're not calculating probability. You're not thinking ahead. You're reacting. That's why revenge trading feels urgent. You feel like you have to take another trade. Like if you don't fix it immediately, the pain will grow bigger. Your mind convinces you that the only solution to emotional discomfort is another trade. But that is an illusion. Revenge trades are never taken for financial gain. They are taken for emotional relief. You're not trying to fix your account. You're trying to fix how you feel. And that's the problem. Because trading decisions made to fix feelings are almost always bad decisions. Another powerful trigger for revenge trading comes from something traders don't talk about enough. Comparison. Let me tell you about a guy named Trevor. Trevor was in a trading Discord. Every day he saw people posting profits. Huge profits. Screenshots of $500 days, $1,000 days, even $10,000 days. Meanwhile, Trevor was making $20 and $30 wins. One day, he takes a valid trade. He makes $50. Not bad. But then he looks at the chat. Someone else caught the same move, but they made $700. Trevor felt small, inferior. He felt like he should have made more. So he decides, you know what? I'm scaling up. I deserve bigger wins. He increases his lot size 5 times, takes a random trade, loses instantly. Now he's angry. Now he's embarrassed. Now he thinks, bro, there is no way I'm ending like this. He increases size again, loses again. He keeps going until he wipes the entire day, and part of the next day, too. Revenge trading doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's influenced by pride, by comparison, by insecurity, by impatience, by fear. Let's talk about one more real-life trigger, being on a winning streak. It sounds backwards, but a lot of revenge spirals start after a winning streak. When you win too much too fast, subconsciously you expect the market to keep rewarding you. You feel untouchable, you feel smart, you feel like you figured it out. And then you lose one trade, and that one loss shatters your inflated confidence. Your ego feels attacked. And suddenly the loss doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like a personal insult. So you take another trade to prove the loss was a fluke. That one loses. Now you panic and start trading aggressively to get back to where you were. Winning streak revenge trading is the silent killer of consistency. So how do we stop all of this? First, awareness is the foundation. You need to recognize the emotional shift before it fully takes over. Here are some signals you're entering revenge mode. You feel heat in your face or chest. You're breathing faster. You're clicking charts aggressively. You feel rushed. You're annoyed at small movements. You find yourself talking out loud. You start saying, nah, watch this. You stop caring about risk. You stop caring about confirmations. You stop caring about the plan. If even one of those happens, you need to step away. Not should, not might, not maybe later. You need to step away now. One of the best habits you can develop is something called a cool down rule. After any loss, whether it's valid or emotional set a 5-minute timer and do nothing. Don't analyze, don't plot lines, don't scroll, don't trade. Just breathe. 5 minutes sounds small, but after a loss, it feels like an eternity, which is exactly why it works. It interrupts the emotional impulse. It gives your nervous system space to reset. It gives your logic time to return. Another tool is the written exit rule. Before you enter a trade, write down, if this loses, I will. If you write, I will walk away for 5 minutes. Or, I will not take another trade unless the setup fully resets. You have an anchor, a rule, a system. Because here's the truth. You cannot trust yourself emotionally after a loss. Your emotions lie. Your ego lies. Your fear lies. That's why professional traders don't run on emotions. They run on processes. Another powerful tool is journaling your triggers. Every trader has different emotional triggers. Some hate losing by 1 pip. Some hate missing a move. Some hate being wrong after being right. Some hate tight stop-outs. Some hate seeing others win while they lose. Some hate ending the day negative. If you don't identify your personal triggers, they will control you every time. But if you know your triggers, you can anticipate them, predict them, interrupt them. Let me share one more powerful real-life story before we wrap up. This one comes from a trader named Luis. Luis had a full-time job. He only traded New York session for 1 hour each day. One morning, he took a great setup. Everything lined up. He risked small. It lost by a tiny margin, but he accepted it. But then he thought, bro, I only have 1 hour to trade today. I can't end the day like this. So he traded again, lost again. Now he's frustrated. And instead of stopping, he keeps going because he feels like he needs to end the session positive. 4 more trades, 4 more losses. He blows his entire weekly gains, all in 45 minutes. He told me something I'll never forget. Revenge trading doesn't feel like trading. It feels like trying to run away from a feeling. And that's the core truth. Revenge trading is not about getting money back. It's about escaping uncomfortable emotions. But the market isn't designed to soothe your emotions. It's designed to expose them. Trading will show you your fear, your impatience, your insecurities, your ego. And if you don't learn how to control those emotions, they will control your trading and your account. So here's the real solution, the one a lot of traders don't want to hear. You must build an identity that is stronger than your emotions. You must become the kind of trader who can take a loss and not take it personally. You must become the kind of trader who can miss a move and not chase it. You must become the kind of trader who can walk away when it's time to walk away. Because trading isn't just pattern recognition, it's emotional regulation. The market doesn't care about your feelings. But your feelings care a lot about your trades. Your job is not to eliminate emotion. Your job is to control your reaction to emotion. If you can do that, then revenge trading no longer has power over you. And when revenge trading loses its power, your consistency finally begins. This is TradersMindTV, where we master the psychology behind the charts, control your mind, and you control your trading.